America First is a movement that has been gaining a lot of traction on both sides of the aisle. On the populist sides of the aisle, both the populist left and the populist right. It takes different flavors. On the left, populism is mostly economic, where it's socialism at best and communism at worst. And on the right, populism is really a new breed of identity politics on the right, where it's nationalism at best and white nationalism or neo-Nazism at worst. But both sides share a America first, Americans first mentality. And as someone who you may imagine is not on the populist side, I consider myself a centrist, legacy, classical liberal, who still believes in Western civilization. Um, I think they get this wrong. I think that their hearts are in the right place in terms of the goal being to promote the well-being of Americans. I think they don't understand how power works. And so I think that Matt Walsh makes this mistake. But again, I think he's right in some ways. So I'd like to let him make his case, and then I'll try to point out where um, the so-called patriotic globalists like myself may be able to chime in on what we believe is a better interpretation of the path that it takes to be America first. And it's not the direct path that most people who are America first take.
You know, the only country that should matter to our leaders is America. America only. America is the only concern. We should only get involved with other countries when there is an unequivocal benefit to our own country. And that is rarely, though not never, the case. And that's the part you're not supposed to say, but it's true. No matter how great an alleged ally may be, we shouldn't do anything for them unless it serves our interests. That is the one.
So I'd like to pause here and point out. So he says we should never do anything for our ally unless it's in our interest. But I just like to note that with friends like that, who needs enemies? Because we would do something for our enemies if it's in our interest, right? You know, if it happened to be in our interest to do something that, you know, for a country that is our adversary, if it's in our interest, then we do it. Well, if we're only doing things when it's in our interest, well, then what's the point of an ally anyway, right? And if this is, and then I'll let him finish, but I think this is part of the problem with this mentality is the type of person you become. And I think Jordan Peterson gets a lot of flack for this, of for using the term psychopathic, but it is very much how psychopaths view the world, which is other people are tools, that they are variables in my environment that I seek to get value out of. I say, okay, well, what can this person do for me? What can I get out of that person? And if the value is zero, well, then they're worthless. You know, there's no base humanity. There's just, are you useful to me or not? And as soon as I'm done using you for whatever purpose I'm done using you for, then the game's over. And there's nothing more to it than that. And so you may feel that, oh, this is just a moralizing, ethical thing. You know, I'm trying to virtue signal, where instead we should be looking out for America's interest. Understand that no one wants to be around people like that. If there's a person in your environment who is strictly self-interested, where everyone else has zero value other than the value that they can give to that person, is that the type of person that is going to command respect? Is that the type of person that you're going to be willing to work with and support? It's not. So I'll explain why that translates to America first um, from what I think populists would appreciate. But I just wanted to note that this perspective of we're only going to interact with you insofar as it benefits us, that's exactly how we could treat an enemy. and if it benefits us, we'll treat an enemy however. What he's saying is if it benefits us, we'll treat an ally however, whether it's positive or negative. And you got to be real careful because you end up becoming someone that no one can work with, and that is against your interest.
Qualifier that we should take into account. Does this serve our interests? Does this help American families? And if it doesn't, we shouldn't do it. Now, I used the analogy last week of teams in sports. Not a perfect analogy, but it helps make the point, that if you're the coach of a football team, you would never do anything to help another team if it hurts your own team. Now, that doesn't mean that you hate other teams or you deny their humanity. It doesn't make you a selfish person or a bad Christian. It just means that your duty, your job, is to your team. And when it comes to our quote unquote allies, the other important point is that, they all need us more than we need them. And there is no exception to this rule. They all do. You cannot name a single ally of the United States where they benefit us more than we benefit them. And
so I want to kind of pause here. So I think, let me start with where I want to agree with him, which is his football analogy, right? If you're the coach of a team, it is your job to look out for the interest of your team 100%. And if you are the leader of a given nation, if the people voted you to lead that nation, it's your job to take care of that nation the same way it's the CEO's job to take care of the company that they're the CEO of. It's not their job to help society, as unfortunate as that may be for society. It's not their job to help out other companies. It's their job to help their company. So from a duty perspective, from a doing your job perspective, that's true. The following statement, I think, is the one that's much more problematic, which is where he says, all of our allies need us more than we need them. And I think this is a gross mischaracterization of how power works. So big picture, power is about scale. And what I mean by that is I'll give you a couple analogies. One, I'll just leave it kind of economic. And then the second one, I'd like to use a UFC analogy. So if I have $10,000, okay, and you have $100,000, and someone else has $1 million and someone else has $1 billion, okay, who has more power? Very clearly, the person with the $1 billion has the most power, and the person with 10,000 has the least. Okay, if we have, ignoring technology, right? If I have 10 people in my army, you have 100 people in your army, who's more powerful? You're more powerful because you have 100 people in your army. When you're dealing with power at the scale of nations, it's the same thing. It's a little more complicated. Money's not just money, it's assets. Military is just troops. It's also technology. It gets a little more complicated, but the principle is the same, which is scale wins. I'm bigger than you, I win. And this is where I want to transition into my UFC analogy. So the United States, let's say we're the baddest man on the planet. Whoever you think that is, I would argue is John Jones. If you don't think it's John Jones, you think it's Tom Aspinall, you think whoever is the toughest man on the planet, no man on earth can challenge him in a fair one-on-one fight and win. Okay, that's the United States. No other country can compete with us. Okay, so we're John Jones. However, our allies, they're no scrubs either. It's not like our allies are Zimbabwe and Nigeria and Venezuela. Like no, our allies are heavy hitters too. It's like we're John Jones, but we're cool with DC. We're cool with Tom Aspinall. We're cool with Stipe. We're cool with Alex Pereira, right? So if you come and you want a problem with us, you're not just fighting John Jones. You're fighting John Jones, DC, Alex Pereira, etc. And if we stick together, there's no one on planet Earth that can even hope to challenge us. Nobody. Now, here's the problem. When John Jones starts becoming John Jones first, and he says, Alex Pereira, you're not bringing as much to the table as I am. I'm John Bones Jones. DC, I don't like how you talk on the interviews, right? We just start complaining, right? We start making a big ruckus out of everything, and we start to lose allies. right? And we're still the baddest man on the planet. Maybe we're even a little tougher because we don't need to spend any time managing this alliance. We can spend more time training, working on uh, our exercise, and whatever we need to do to our technique. So sure, we may be 10% stronger, but if we ruin the relationship with Alex Pereira and DC and George St. Pierre, it's just John Jones now. If I'm John Jones' enemy, John Jones is still formidable. He's still formidable, but he's far less formidable than John Jones and all of those guys, right? With John Jones and all of those guys, I might as well go home. It's game over. Just John Jones, that's much more achievable, right? That's a much easier goal, especially if I've noticed that DC and Alex Pereira are both available, right? So now I can, if I'm John Jones' enemy, I say, okay, let me go talk to DC. Let me go talk to Alex Pereira. And with just those two, I feel pretty confident approaching John Jones now. I think I can win this one, right? And that's what people don't understand about power is the United States is powerful, but power is about scale. And when power is about scale, power is about the scale of your network. It's not about the scale of you, the individual. It's about the scale of everyone around you. This is why if you're a small business, if you're an individual and you need healthcare companies can screw you over. They're going to charge you huge prices. If you're a large company and you're trying to insure 10,000 people, well, now you have negotiating power. You can get much better rates. Same thing. If in terms of economic power and military power, our economic power, you could say, okay, it's our GDP. Our military power, you can say, okay, it's the strength of the United States, Army, Navy, Marines, etc. But that's not true. That's if you think of the president as the commander in chief. But he has another job. His other job is leader of the free world, right? And what that means is when we come to the table, it's not just us, it's the United States, it's the EU. Every country, like not just France, not just Germany, it's the whole EU behind us. It's Australia, Japan, right? Like we got heavy hitters with us, and it's not just our GDP, it's all of those GDPs added up. It's all of that military might added up. And if we stick together, there's nothing anyone in the world, not even any other organization, and they're trying, right? With BRICS, they're trying to group up. Everybody that's not us, they're trying to group up because that's their best chance is to group up because by themselves, they have zero chance, right? But if we start splitting up to be America first and we make all of our allies upset and we end up alone and we think we're tough because of that, that's not how power works, right? Too many people think that power is, oh, if I'm an asshole and I'm a tough guy and I only care about myself, that's how you get power. That's not how you get power. That is not how you get power at all. How you get power is being someone that people trust, that people want to work with, that people are willing to lend their money to, their effort to. Steve Jobs can't build anything by himself, but if he can get a team around him, he can tell them what to do, build the right products, get investors who believe in him to fund everything, right? Like it's almost like imagine a CEO being a CEO first. We're gonna have a CEO first agenda. The whole company's gonna break down. You can't be CEO first. You have to be someone that puts together a network larger than you because the individual is never powerful than the collective. It's just again, it's a matter of scale. You can be John Jones. If I got 30 no-name men, it's over for John Jones. 30 guys is over. Like, there's nothing he can do. And if you don't think 30 is enough, then 100, whatever you think it is, right? Maybe it's less than that, right? But uh, that's the problem is maintaining a strong network of alliances gives us global power that no one on earth, and that's all we got to worry about right now, no one on earth can match. We start being America first, we start upsetting our allies, we end up isolating ourselves, and we think we're tough because of it. That's a fool's errand, and it's not going to be good for us. And people make, I'm not going to continue with the video here because this video is already getting long, but people make the point that, all these things we take for granted, right? Like you assume that, the United States is the reserve currency of the world. Everyone does business in the dollar. You think that's because God blessed us such that everyone does business in the dollar? No, if we start becoming problematic, becoming America first, we start, saying, hey, well, France, I know you're an ally, but if I can screw you over to get cheaper energy, I'm gonna go ahead and screw you over, right? And we lose France and we start losing the EU, right? They may say, well, forget the dollar, right? And then you'll see the cost of all of our interest go up is already too high, right? Like there's a lot of consequences, and people think that you can be the leader of the free world without paying the price to be the leader of the free world, because people have this view that leadership is just granted. It just comes from nowhere. No, there's a price to being a leader. You have to do the things that other people don't want to do. If you want to be the CEO of a company, you have to start the company. You need to raise the funds. You need to file the paperwork, for the Delaware corporation, and then interview people and create the product and hire software engineers, learn to code yourself. Like there's a price that you have to pay to be the leader, right? And that doesn't mean you should get taken advantage of, but you should understand that if you're not going to pay the price to be the leader, you will not get the benefits of being the leader. And sure, there is a cost of upkeep that we have to pay to be the leaders of the free world, but is it in our interest to be the leaders of the free world? Is it in our interest to be the CEO of the free world? If you want to just be another participant, another worker in a factory, then I would argue that's not America first. It's America last. And I think that I'll close here. I think the problem is it's difficult to make the globalist case because it's more complicated, in terms of how power works. It's a lot easier to say, we're just going to raise the minimum wage and we're going to end mass migration. We can still do that. We can still end, control immigration. I think that's something we got to get to. But um, there's people think that you can just kind of throw away everything that got us to this point, and because they'll say, okay, well, it's the elitist centrists that got us into this mess, and I would counter, well, this mess, we're in first place. What are you talking about? Right? Like you imagine we'd be in even more first place if we were radically different, and I think you got to be very careful with that assumption, right? People, there is mass migration, but people from the low end, right, that want to come here illegally, people from the high end, that from H-1Bs, where are they mass migrating to? They want to mass migrate here because this is the best place to be. The West has won the competition of Earth, and we've won the competition of Earth with these traditional centrist Western values. We've won it by being the leaders of the free world, by maintaining strong alliances. Again, there's a limit. We shouldn't be, foolish and just getting taken advantage of. But every time we help someone, every time we show some humanity, that is the cost of being a good leader. You don't want a leader that's just like, as soon as the going gets tough, as soon as it's in my interest, I'm gonna screw you over to the fullest extent that is in my interest to do so. No one's gonna work. No one's gonna want to work with you. You will not maintain your position as a leader in that situation. So I think it's short sighted to throw away the benefits of leadership that we enjoy and that we take for granted because we can see the cost of leadership.